Every cloud has a silver lining. Boris prevails despite the odds stacking against over Labour Party. Boris Johnson has been backed on LBC to bounce back from the Conservative Party's recent poor polling. LBC presenter Natasha Devon has heard for a caller who backs Boris Johnson to win a general election despite the Conservative Party losing their poll lead over Labour. A recent poll has placed Keir Starmer's Labour 6 points ahead of the Tory party amid an ongoing Westminster row over M.P. second jobs. The caller described the Prime Minister as a lovable rogue as he backed Mr. Johnson to bounce back. The LBC caller told Ms. Devon, "So he bought out the vaccines for COVID in record time, and people very grateful for that. It was a tremendous achievement of the government. And I do think if people are going to criticise him they should be objective and listening to Alistair Campbell who worked for Teflon Tony. Maybe he is a bit jealous that Johnson is Teflon coated as well. But if there was an election tomorrow, I think Johnson would certainly win. Majority of 80 seats, many of them Labour constituents, tremendous achievement. The guy is just a bit of a lovable rogue, I'm afraid. And all this morality, I think the media has arrogated to themselves the position of Her Majesty's Royal Leader of the Opposition, in the absence of an opposition that is very effective." Ms. Devon asked, "Well, you've caught him a lovable rogue. What would he need to do in order for you to think he's crossed over from rogue into something more egregious and something more dangerous?" "Lose votes," replied the caller. "People vote for him, they know what he's like, all his girlfriends, all the wives or children, or they know what he's like, and the moment it's not vote losing." It comes as a poll by Savannah Comries for the Daily Mail put Labour 6 points ahead of the Conservatives in a sign that recent revelations about M.P. second jobs and the handling of the Owen Paterson affair could hurt Boris Johnson's party at the ballot box. The results, in which the Tories dropped 4 points and Labour climbed 5 since a similar poll a week ago, are based on a survey of more than 2,000 people in the UK, conducted on Thursday and Friday. YouGov polling published on Friday and carried out this week also suggested the Tories had lost their lead, with its findings putting Mr. Johnson and Sir Keir Starmer's Labour Party neck and neck on 35% of the vote share. The polling, published in the Times, found 2/3 of voters viewed the Tories as very sleazy following Mr. Paterson's resignation and MP second jobs and Holmes revelations. Speaking before the Savannah Comries results were published, the Prime Minister had rejected suggestions the sleaze allegations being levelled at his party could be reflected at the ballot box in forthcoming by-elections. Mr. Johnson visited Sidcup on Friday afternoon, where voters will elect a new MP in December after the death of former Security Minister James Brokenshire last month. The Conservative leader insisted the strength of the local candidate in the Old Bexley and Sidcup constituency meant voters would back the Tories in the December 2nd race. Asked whether he feared public concern over standards would lose the Conservatives the Sidcup by-election, Mr. Johnson said, "No, because Louis French is running a great campaign on the big issues that matter to people. He is, building on the legacy of James Brokenshire, ensuring that Queen Mary Hospital has ever better faculties and making sure that we have ever safer streets in Greater London." But Lord Evans, chairman of the Committee on Standards in Public Life, argued that the public does care about issues such as standards. He said, "Standards matter for our democracy, they matter for our economic prosperity, and for our international influence and our foreign policy. The past week has shown that standards do matter to the public. Ethical standards are important for making democracy work. The public does care about this." The row began last week when Boris Johnson whipped Conservative MPs into voting for an amendment on delaying a decision to suspend Mr. Paterson over his breach of lobbying rules. The fiasco has dominated newspaper headlines and expanded into a wider discussion about MPs conducted not seen since the expenses scandal in 2009, which was a contributory factor in bringing down Gordon Brown's Labour government.